All right, today has been an absolutely insane day of combat sports, and the UFC hasn't even started yet. We've had two crazy fights. We had the boxing in the UK, and then in Poland we had Eddie Hall, the world's strongest man, taking on the former world's strongest man, Mariusz Pudzianowski. He obliterated him, destroyed him. But first of all, we're going to start with the boxing. And by the way, the UFC hasn't even started yet. I cannot wait. As soon as I finish this, I'll be in there. I'll be watching the prelims. Anyway, Conor Benn taking on Chris Eubank Jr. This was a rivalry decades in the making. Of course, their two fathers fought back in the 90s. The first fight was in 1990. Chris Eubank gets the knockout late in the fight. Then the rematch in 93 goes to a split draw. Okay, and then since then, these two have been on a collision course. Let's just put it like that. And leading up to it, we had a lot of shenanigans that Chris Eubank Sr. in particularly did not like. Of course, we had the smashing of the egg at the square-offs at the press conference. Chris Eubank Sr. didn't like that. He branded his own son a disgrace. Okay.
That's disgraceful.
But he shocked the crowd tonight because he showed up with his son, showed up in solidarity to make the walk with him. And he did make the walk with him and be there for this big moment. And that was a beautiful scene. As soon as the cars opened and Chris Eubank Sr. and Jr. were both there, the pop from the crowd was unbelievable.
Son reunited, simply the best. And that is the picture of the year so far.
And it was a great start to what was just an incredible night. I'm telling you, the undercard was awesome. There was some tremendous action on there as well. The crowd was phenomenal, okay? 65,000 people. They had a live orchestra for when the fighters walked out. The atmosphere was just insane. And the main event was one of the best boxing fights that I have seen in recent history. Now, granted, maybe a bit of recency bias, okay? But let's get into it. This fight was phenomenal from start to finish. Of course, Eubank Jr. was the bigger guy. Conor Benn coming up from about 147 pounds. Of course, Eubank misses weight. He gets fined. I think it was $500,000 for being 0.02 pounds over. Now, there was a lot of backlash about that online. A lot of people felt it was too harsh, a penalty. The reality is, rules are rules. And if you don't make weight, then you got to pay the consequences. So I didn't have an issue with that. I met him recently in Dubai. Very, very nice guy. Seems like a class act and a hell of a fighter. Of course, he couldn't come in over 170 pounds. There was a rehydration clause. So I was worried for Eubank coming into this one because he couldn't fully rehydrate. I thought there's a good chance that Nigel Benn knocks him out. So let's get into the fight. So when the fight started, we had Conor Benn just kind of moving around all over the place, not being economical with his movements. A lot of wasted movement, certainly when you consider this is a 12-round fight. Eubank Jr. kind of held the ground in the middle, using the jab, using the left hook, using the lead hand a lot, okay? Now, Eubank was landing the bigger shots. That's just a fact. But Conor Benn was swinging fast and wild, moving around all over the place, and it was beautiful. It was a tremendous matchup. Now, I've got some notes here that I took on my phone. Round two, speed on the side from Benn. Beautiful jabs from Eubank. Lead hand. Big right stumbles Eubank. Much, much better round for Benn. Landing much bigger shots. Chris almost only using the jab and chatting shit at the end of every single round. He was, right? Conor Benn, at the end of every round, had something to say, and he looked pissed off, he looked angry, he looked emotional, and he was, but it didn't slow him down. We always say you don't want to be too emotional in fights. It did not matter one little bit. He kept that same energy all the way through it. Now, this fight was an absolute classic. Bigger shots on the side of Eubank, more activity, and more volume on the side of Benn, okay? But as the fight progressed, it was kind of close. The live odds had it in favor of Eubank. The AI judges had it in favor of Eubank. I had it in favor of Eubank on here, but they were close rounds. And then the last few rounds where it kind of, not slowed, but the movement around the ring kind of slowed. It was Eubank backing him up. They weren't clinching. They were standing right in the pocket and just exchanging beautiful combinations. And it was just beautiful 6-7 shots from Eubank. Then Benn would fire back. It was tremendous, okay? Halfway through the 11th round, Eubank kind of wobbles in, Benn fires right back. This is the type of fight that you want to be involved in. This is the type of fight that you are proud of when you retire. You look back on your career and you can show this to your grandchildren. That every single person in attendance there tonight left home a happy customer. This fight is what boxing, British boxing, is all about at its absolute finest. Never mind all the ceremony, the bullshit, the pomp and circumstance, the trash talk, the eggs, all that nonsense. It's about what you do in the ring. And of course, only one man can win. Unless it's a draw, like when they're all men fought. Eubank was the winner, and even Nigel Benn kind of conceded that. It was a tremendous fight, and I think we might see a rematch in the future, but both men should be very, very proud of themselves. That's just the fact. They both handled themselves with class afterwards. It was beautiful to see their fathers kind of sharing some respect as well. Two legends of the fight game, two legends of British boxing, and just an unbelievable spectacle for everybody in attendance. Then, let's jump on a plane, let's fly over to Poland, and let's see two big, gigantic men, potentially on steroids. I don't know. I'm not saying Eddie Hall's on steroids. I'm not saying Mariusz Pudzianowski's on steroids. But they might be on steroids.
All you motherfuckers are on steroids.
But who cares? We're here for the excitement. We're here for the entertainment. We're here for the violence. And it didn't last very long. Eddie Hall's first ever professional mixed martial arts fight. He goes out there against Mariusz Pudzianowski, who's been fighting in MMA now for quite a long time, okay? I forget without looking it up. Good few years in KSW, maybe 7, 8 years, something like that. Eddie Hall went out there like a man possessed, cracked him with the right hand, followed up just a crazy blaze of aggression. Pudzianowski shoots forward, kind of throws him over with a whizzer, sends him down to the ground and just, crazy barrage of hammer fists. And that's what you do in your first ever professional fight. It's just, you've got to control the emotions. It's just a blaze of aggression. And that's what we saw from Eddie Hall. This man is a monster. He is the beast after all, and he lived up to the nickname. I'm telling you, 600 pounds combined in that cage, a lot of force, a lot of power. Most of it was on the side of Eddie Hall. Congratulations to him. He's an awesome guy. I've had him on the podcast a few times, met him in person a couple of times.
Hello.
Go on.
Oh,
How do you, Brian? Thank you. The little bastard.
little bastard. That's what I wanted to say, yeah.
Great guy, humble dude, but f*** me, a handful inside a cage. Anyway, the prelims of UFC Kansas City, they're just starting right now. I might be missing a great fight, so I'm going to go. But make sure you come back later in the day because I've got a reaction for all the fights going down. Ian Gary versus Carlos Pratis. Anthony Lionheart-Smith taking on Zhang Mingyang. And I'll go through all the undercard as well. You guys take care. Subscribe. Ring the bell. See you soon. Have you guys subscribed to the membership program? Because if you hasn't, you're missing out. Okay? Simple as that. Exclusive footage dropping almost every single day. But you got to be a member to see it.